Oh, helping people, helping people. And the value of my life is your smile.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the value of my life is helping people think better. The value of my life is helping people live better because they think better.
Welcome back, guys, to the Max Out Show. Another episode with not just one, but two very special guests today. Here in the studio with me is my amazing friend Tâmara, who's been a huge fan of our guest joining us from Brazil today, Clóvis de Barros. Clóvis is a professor of communication at the University of Sao Paulo and an internationally renowned expert on communication, ethics, and happiness. His TEDx talk on happiness in the here and now has gained him not only a standing ovation, but almost 2 million views online. So I'm super excited to dive deep today into clarifying your values, being happy now, and what it means to live a good life. So Clóvis and Tâmara, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me, Max. And thank you
Thank
for
you,
coming.
thank you. Yeah.
We have here the first questions like, how would you define happiness? Like a few minutes and emotional playlist, and speak a little bit more about this.
Yeah, okay. Well, happiness is a philosophical concept, first of all, and all the great philosophers I think, since the very beginning with the Greeks, they tried to give for happiness a sort of definition. Until nowadays, all these attempts are I think, failures, because obviously, when you talk about happiness, you don't talk the same way depending on the person, depending on the society, and especially depending on the moment you are talking about. But obviously, I think that when you think about the good life and you think about all the life values, you can realize that normally in a happiness state, there are some symptoms, some indications in your life that prove that in that moment you are happy. I think that happiness is a characteristic of a moment of our life, and our life is here and now. Okay, it's not in the past. The past is just a question of mind, of spiritual rememberings, and the future is also something that you think about. It's a question of a mind production, but nothing exists in the past or in the future. So life is here and now. And here and now, life can be happy. But what is the indication? In my opinion, when you are in a happiness state, first of all, all the circumstances, all the situations that you are in fulfill your mind in a certain way that you are unable to think about other lives, other alternative lives that you could be living in a certain moment. So, for example, we are here now talking about happiness, and all of a sudden I think about for example, at this time, I could be watching TV or in the movies or doing other things. So obviously, this life that I'm living now with you is not happy enough. I mean, it doesn't fulfill completely my mind and justify this moment as a full moment of life. But I can assure you that, I don't know, it's because I am trying to say things in English and it's very difficult for me, but what I would say is that here and now, your question and my attempt to answer it fulfill 100% of my mind. I would be unable to think about other lives, especially in the past or in the future. So I would say that happiness is a special moment of life that you don't feel time passing by. I remember years ago, I had I sort of organized a group of study about a Russian, very important semioticist, Russian semioticist called Mikhail Bakhtin, to understand what he tries to teach. And I gave classes at the university Saturday morning at 2:00 p.m. We started that's group of studying. We were 8 people reading and thinking about this author. And the windows were closed, so we couldn't see the sunlight. And we didn't realize that at the end of the day. And then suddenly someone said, "Hey, what time is it?" It was 10 o'clock at night. We've been there for 10 hours. I mean, it was unbelievable because none of us realized that we were there for such a long time. And then it was just amazing because, no, I need to go. And I had to give a ride to everybody because we were, all of us, in such a happiness state of mind that we weren't able to think about anything else. So what I would say that nowadays that we are living this very, very special moment of our societies and the whole world civilization. What I would say is that we can realize now that in a normal life, the life we were living before all of this, we were used to live very badly. I would say we were used to think about our career, the future, things we've got to buy, and we try to sort of associate our happiness to things we have to buy, we have to have, and sort of material stuff that we have to have with us to be able to be happy. And this moment is very special because nowadays we can realize that most of the things we were looking for are absolutely useless for our happiness. And if you really observe our lives nowadays, for example, I wake up in the morning and then I have a sort of thought that I film it and it becomes a video, and every day I sort of spread this video for internet and friends and fans, etc. So 1 million of people waiting for this moment that I think about life, and as a matter of fact, I can send you every day this video. It would be very nice. Unfortunately, it's in Portuguese. And
so for you only.
For me.
Maybe she can put the subtitles. I mean,
maybe
to help other people to learn what I am trying to teach. But this thing that normally I wouldn't do, because normally I would be worried about getting money, working, and so normally I wouldn't do this, but this thing gives me a great pleasure, and I'm very happy 6 o'clock in the morning to wake people up, telling them what I'm thinking at that time. So later on, I live here with my wife, Marina, and normally she cooks and I wash the dishes. So this is my task 3 times a day. And obviously, when you think about washing dishes, you think about something not very funny to to achieve. But I thought by myself, and I said to myself, listen, if I have to do this, I'm gonna do this in a very funny way and in a very special way. So first of all, I'm going to do this as perfectly as I can. Yeah. So I must tell you, I am almost blind. I can't see. So I have less than 10% of a normal viewer. So this is a very important thing. And so I realized that washing dishes, why? Because you don't realize that things are not very clean by watching them. You feel them with your fingers. So I became a very good dishwasher. Excellent.
You're like licking the plate.
I'm very happy. Yeah, I'm very happy washing dishes because I can do this perfectly. And this is a sort of respect for my life and my condition at that time. So I think that I am trying to tell you that besides not having a clear definition for happiness, I have lots of things to say about it that can be useful for people. I published a book called, the title is Happiness is Useless. In Portuguese, a felicidade é inútil. And fortunately for me, it has occupies a good ranking of the best seller of our societies. But most of people enjoyed it. And then what is the explanation? When I say that happiness is useless, I'm not trying to say that happiness is bad. Not at all. It's just the opposite. I am telling this. What useful means? For example, when I say that a book is useful, obviously it is useful for something, useful for someone. So this utility requires something else to be useful. So the value of utility requires something else. When you put a medicine in your eyes to treat your eyes, to clean your eyes, obviously the utility of this depends on the eye. If all of a sudden in the world the eyes disappears, it will become useless. So it depends on something else. Wow. So, and what about happiness? Wow, happiness is fantastic, and it doesn't depend on anything. So, for you say, I read for knowing, I know for thinking, I think for enjoying, I enjoy for being happy, and I am happy for nothing. I mean, happiness is the end of the line. That's why it's useless. It has a value on itself. I mean, it doesn't require anything else to be useful. And that's why we must, thinking about it, we must realize that most of our happy moments are useless moments. For example, when I kiss my wife, I mean, it's not useful. It's plenty of happiness, but it's not useful. When I give a live, I mean, what I'm doing now, I really don't know if it's useful. But for me, it's not a matter of utility. It's a matter of happiness. And how can I know this? Because I would stay here for a long time. Now I am very happy because my very old English that I learned at school 40 years ago.
Wow, it's definitely here.
appearing here, and it's good enough to communicate.
Oh, yes.
And very happy. So this for me, it's not useful. This for me is happiness, is a happy moment of my life, you know. I'm not here to get something later. I'm not here to make money later. I'm not here to become famous in Switzerland, because I don't have this hope, I don't have this in mind. I am here because I'm here, and being here is enough for me. It's great for me. And so that's another very important thing I was trying to explain about happiness in this book. Happiness is useless. Well, what I would say, I would try to introduce another point that for me is very, very important. Happiness is so good, but so good that normally when you feel happy, you don't want that life to be end, to finish, to change. When you are happy, you want things to continue. You want things to go on. So I remember years ago, I went to a very famous talk show in Brazil called Programa do Jô, presented by Jô Soares, maybe the most famous TV man in Brazil. And it was a very, very funny interview. And at the end, I tried to say that. I said, I'm very happy. And then he asked me, how do you know? And I said, it's very easy. I don't want this thing to finish. I want to keep talking. I want to keep talking.
Forever.
And then Jô Soares said, I want to keep listening to you. And I said, so we're both happy. So, let's go on. I mean, obviously, we couldn't just go on because normally a program like this in a most important television channel in Brazil, everything is very strict. But there was a sort of will of both of us to keep on talking, to keep on listening. I mean, that kind of life that we would enjoy very much to stay as it is. And I'm going to give you another example. You know, I'm very happy because I was very afraid.
Oh, no, no reason at all. We're so happy right now listening to you. So we're definitely.
It's lunchtime here in Brazil, and I was eating something with my wife, and I said, gosh, I'm going to give an interview in English. And then she looked at me and said, are you crazy? Because, I'm going to try. But I've never seen you speaking English. So, me neither, you know, but let's try anyway. And I'm very happy because obviously it's not perfect, but it's good enough to communicate what I think is most important. And I will tell you this. We are used. I am sure about what I'm saying. We are used to live a bad life. We are used to live a stupid life because well, we are not used to think about our lives. We're not used to think about the real values of our lives. And so I'll tell you that normally there are values. There must be values. And I'll tell you why. Most part of your life, you decide, you choose. And for you to choose properly, you have to have in mind the kind of life you want to live. And then I could ask you, what do you think is really necessary to make someone's life a good life to live, a good life to have lived when you've just died? Imagine you are in your funeral ceremony, and then people that you know there, and they decide to give you a sort of great life A, life B, life C, or life grade
You
10,
failed.
grade 9, grade 8, and then you are dead, but you can't listen. And people say, wow, this man has been a teacher, and he gave very good classes, and he helped a lot of people thinking better. So I think he deserves a very good grade for his life. And then we realize that there is a first value, that is the quality of the things you do. I mean, it's what Aristotle called excellence. I mean, when you do perfectly the things you do in the limits of your nature. I mean, your nature is limited. We are not God. So our nature is limited. And within the limits of our nature, we can do the better we can. So this is excellence. And so what I'm doing here talking to you, I am looking for excellence. I am trying to do the better I can. I mean, it would be better if it was in Portuguese, yes, but it's in English. So,
and you're still doing amazing.
Yeah, all the parts of my body are in a sort of concentration. I mean, an effort, amazing effort to make this fantastic. If it were, I've lived in France for 4 years, so I can't speak French fluently. So I asked it, maybe in French, or no, it must be in English. Wow! And I lived 2 years in Spain, so I can't speak in Spanish. Now it's English. I said, wow! There are limits. There are limits. My condition is limited, but I am trying to make this I mean, as good as possible, as perfect as possible, and this is a very important life value.
Yes. How do you manage to be so present? How do you manage to be totally in the moment? Because so many people have all these thoughts about the future or the past. So how do you use, like, meditation or a practice?
No.
Or how do you make sure you're here?
No, I think I appreciate a lot people that can meditate. I can't. I mean, it's bothering to me. I know that meditating is excellent. It's fantastic. It helps a lot. I have a friend that's Buddhist, maybe the most well-known Buddhist in Brazil, the Buddhist authority, the most famous Buddhist authority in Brazil, Monja Coen, very famous in Brazil. She's my friend. And we've written a book together. So she tries to introduce me in meditation. But it's very difficult to me, especially because she obliges me to sit in a very strange way. And my legs, I'm very old.
You're back. And
I can't bear it. I mean, it's very, very painful sitting like that. I said, may I sit normally in a sofa, or maybe I can meditate, lay down, and so not. I mean, you must feel a little bit of pain to meditate well. I said, so thank you. Those are my limits. And I said, meditation is okay, but I'm going to tell you something. I mean, life is not always like that. I mean, this is my stuff. I think I'm going to create a word, but I am an explainer.
Yes.
But what do you think about this ethics tie into happiness? You can link these two different subjects?
Yeah. Listen. When Aristotle invented the word ethics, it was to give a grade for life. Exactly what I was trying to explain. So what is ethics? The value of life, but not the value of a theoretical life. No, a value of people's life, real people's life. So, for example, I die, and people say, well, Clóvis is great. Let's give him 9. 9 on 10.
We'll give you 10. You get 10.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very kind. But this is ethics. And obviously, nowadays, the meaning of ethics has changed a lot. Ethics nowadays, it's a sort of collective thought about the best way to live together, the best way to live in society, the best way to interact, you know? And obviously, the meaning now is very different. So, I would say that we can establish here a sort of difference, very important difference between moral values and spiritual values or existential values. So, for example, you can be a good person. You can sort of respect the others. You don't attack the others. You care about the others when you are living. Okay, but this, all of this can't assure you a happy life. Why? Because first of all, you're gonna die, and yeah, you can be a good person, but you're gonna die. And not only that, because you're gonna die, but you know it, and this changes everything. Because as far as you know that you're gonna die, the fear of death follows you all the time. So I mean, one of the tasks of philosophy is try to sort of reduce, diminish, or eliminate this fear of death. But it has nothing to do with a moral value. You are a good person, but you don't want to die, and you know you're gonna die. It has nothing to do with being a good person. I mean, I remember I have three kids. You know, I have 3 children. I mean, one 30 years old, the other 27 years old, and the youngest 16 years old. When he was 4 years old, he had a very serious disease called Kawasaki syndrome. It's a virus, but it's a very strong virus. And if this virus sort of close, I don't know how to say, but you get the person. It's a virus, and only children can get this virus. So there was at that time a good news. This virus lives for 2 years. So when he dies, the child is sort of cured. The fear is over. And then I and my family, we stayed 2 years waiting for this moment. And fortunately, my daughter, my youngest daughter nowadays is at the university. She studies law. She is fantastic. She is gorgeous. I love her completely. But at that time, I realized that I've always tried to be a good person, but it has nothing to do with the death of my youngest daughter. So I think that you start realizing the differences that you can establish between those values that concern your happiness and those other moral values. But, what I would tell you now is that being a good person can, yes, make you feel better. Being a good person can help your relationship with the others. And this can help your life, your existence, and your happiness. So, yes. I mean, I would say that being a good person and respect moral values is good for happiness, but it's not enough for happiness, because happiness requires other things that has nothing to do with moral stuff. Did you understand?
Yes, you know, Clovis, I love this so much, and I'm so happy right now. And the reason I know this is because I don't want this to end. I know you have to go, though. So,
No, no,
unfortunately,
no.
so as a final...
Let him type this. Please, no,
I think you have
that's
to.
not. Okay, one more question.
Yeah, as the final question, what does it mean for you, you know, at the end of your life to have lived a good life?
Oh, helping people. Helping people. And the value of my life is your smile.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the value of my life is helping people think better. The value of my life is helping people live better because they think better. The value of my life is giving a hand to those that that need it. And my way, the best thing I have to offer is my speech.
I love that so much.
It's my, not exactly the things I say, but the way I do it. I know that I have a very peculiar way of putting energy and power and the things I believe. And this can be a sort of reference or a model for people to realize that life can be wonderful, can be fantastic when you respect your nature. You do what you want to do, what you enjoy doing, and then it can be great, even if you're living in a sort of very restrictive conditions like this that we're living now. This is my final answer. And I must tell you this. If you want sort of repeat this meeting we're having now, talking about other subjects, feel free to call me.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, feel free. And I will try to speak better English.
Oh, your English is so great. It's like the energy is amazing.
In order to help English people and people that know English all around the world, the best way I can. So this is a compromise. I really
we appreciate it.
Speak better English because it's very, very, very shameful that here and now I mean I can't be as strong as I could if I were speaking in Portuguese or other languages.
Or French or Italian or Spanish.
But listen, I am very happy. I'm very thankful. I think we've enjoyed a lot, and please feel free. We can repeat it, and I hope that your podcast. This is a podcast, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Sort of podcast. I think that your podcast. I mean, I really hope that you have enormous success in what you're doing.
Thank you.
Because I think I can see myself in you 30 years ago, and so I am very happy for you and my Brazilian friend from Recife, people that are listening to us. You don't know, but Recife is the most important city of the state of Pernambuco. Brazil is a federation like the United States. Recife is the most important city. And I have a lot of friends from there, and it's the most beautiful part of Brazil to know. It's very rich. It has a fantastic culture, fantastic music. Most of the great singers and composers we have in Brazil are from Pernambuco, and so and they dance frevo.
Do you dance?
Wonderfully. So, I mean, it's all fantastic. So please, this part of Brazil is amazing. So please come to visit us. It would be very nice, and thank you very much. You're very nice people. Thank you.